Wisdom. It's an incredibly valuable asset. Some would say more precious than gold. It's attractive, appealing, admirable. Conversely, a lack of wisdom is the basis of immaturity, blind spots, and bad decisions. Wisdom. It can be gained over time, but it can't be rushed. But wisdom can be shared. That's precisely what we are here to do right now. Today, we are here to hack wisdom, to distill it, to understand it, and to process it. Why? To get better at life. Welcome to The Main Thing. This is your new 9-minute podcast. I'm your host, Skip Lineberg, and I've set out to interview the wisest people I know. We'll see what we can learn from each one when they're faced with an incredibly difficult, soul-piercing question. Welcome back to The Main Thing podcast. I'm your host, Skip Lineberg, coming to you from Parkwood Studios. And I'm sending out a special warm welcome to my subscribers and my patrons. Our special guest today is a dear friend. She's someone I consider bold and a dream chaser. That takes courage and faith. Today, you will get a first-hand dose of both from Steffanie Peterson. A West Virginia native, Steffanie Peterson is a single mother who took on the biggest challenge of her life when she relocated her Broadway-dreaming daughter to the bright lights of New York City. By day, this New York City transplant manages a busy plastic surgery center located on Fifth Avenue in Manhattan. And by night, she has the privilege of being the manager and the frequent plus one of her daughter, Hannah Jane, who is singing her way across the Big Apple. In her spare time, Steffanie focuses on her writing. She's currently working on her second book titled The Hot Mess Express Flying Solo. Get ready, over the next 9 minutes, you will discover why Steffanie Peterson is one of the wisest people I know. Steffanie Peterson, welcome to the Main Thing podcast. It's so great to have you on the show.
Hey, Skip. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, you're coming to us from the Big Apple, New York City.
The big cold apple. Winter has set upon us this week. It is freezing here.
Oh my gosh. Today we are recording on November 22nd. Steffanie, I want to remind you on November 9th, 2014, just 8 years ago, you made a bold decision and you took a big leap of faith and you moved yourself and your uber-talented daughter, your teenage daughter at the time, and 3 cats to New York City. Hey, how are the cats doing, by the way?
You know, they're doing great. I have this 18-year-old geriatric diabetic, now half deaf and half blind cat that literally we didn't even tell our landlord about because we were convinced she was going to die after we were here a month, and this cat is still alive.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
She's moved three times. I don't know how she's still with us, but she's still hanging on. So apparently she's a New York cat.
Yeah,
so
I guess
everybody's good.
She's a survivor.
Everybody's good.
So that was 8 years ago. I remember this distinctly. You were living here in my town of Charleston, West Virginia at the time. And I just want to say I respected the heck out of your courage and your vision for doing this. And Steffanie, I've always wanted to ask you, how did you get to the point where you got right with it and you said, okay, this is a go. We're really doing this?
You know, it's funny you asked me that because I say this to people all the time. I don't think I thought about it long enough to get to a point where I say this is a go. And I think if I had really taken the time to think about what I was doing, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Okay.
Everything happened so fast. You know, my mom had been sick for a long time.
Right.
I think I always knew Hannah was going to land here, but there was never a moment where I could leave as long as my mom was alive because she just needed us. She needed Hannah. She needed me.
Sure.
And she passed away in June of 2013. And we went to this open call thingy talent scout deal and they loved Hannah, of course, and they said, let's go to this showcase thingy. And I said, I'm poor. And they said, that's okay. We'll help you pay for it. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like a great idea. Let's go to Orlando on vacation. And, you know, we came back from that and everybody we met with said, you live in the wrong city. And I'm like, well, I know that, but how am I going to get to New York? And Hannah said, Mom, let's go. And I'm like, okay, let's go. And the next thing I knew, I'm like, okay, we're moving to New York. Like, there wasn't this grand plan. We weren't going to move for a year. And then she said, let's go by Thanksgiving. It was July 4th. It was the day after
my... Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
was a day after my 41st birthday.
Wow.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll never get there by Thanksgiving. And I threw my resume out there. And because we serve this giant big God, he said, great, I'm going to fly you up here and I'm going to give you 5 interviews in a month. And he did. And literally almost 4 months to the day of saying, hey, let's move to New York, we were moving into our first apartment.
Amazing.
So there was really never this big plan. There was not this laid out step by step. There was just like, oh, okay, that mountain's moved. So let's see if the next one moves. Okay, that works. So let's go on to the next one. And things just kept happening. And so we just kept on trucking until we moved here.
I love it. I love it.
It's pretty crazy. Sometimes you just have to follow your gut.
There you go.
Sometimes you just have to listen to that inner voice and take a chance.
That's
and
so
to me,
true.
that's wisdom for me, is that sometimes you cannot second guess what you're feeling in your soul.
Yeah.
Because I think your soul and your heart leads you. And I think we do.
Yeah. Let me give our listeners a little flavor for the book. It is your story of how you took this leap and made the move to New York City, what prompted it, how it went when you got there, all the surprises, all the adventures. I was reading this book at night, like before bed, and I lost so much sleep, Steffanie, because your book was so entertaining, and I couldn't stop reading. And so here it's like looking at the clock, it's like, oh my gosh, it's 12:30. I need to get some sleep, but I got to read one more chapter.
Everybody said that. It made me so happy that, I mean, people who call me and they're like, the other thing they said was, I can hear your voice. It's like I'm sitting across the table listening to you tell me this story. And it just made my heart swell with joy that that's kind of where people were. I had a lot of people who said they read it in one sitting.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. If I didn't need to get some sleep, I definitely would have done it, because it's just that good. It's that entertaining. The stories are hilarious.
And all true.
I don't doubt it.
All true. Every one of them.
Let's talk about how we got connected. Do you feel like starting that story?
Gosh, I do. And I feel like it's funny because I want to say River Ridge Church, but then I have to remember it goes way beyond that.
Yeah.
Like we met many, many years before that at St. Timothy.
Yeah, for real. Yeah.
Our girls grew up together. I worked for your sister and brother-in-law, Patricia and J.K. Lilly.
So church, jobs, the community, it's been a great relationship of having our daughters grow up together. And yeah, so that's how we know each other.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Hi, it's Skip here. You've heard about our merchandise store for the Main Thing podcast, and I want to tell you about our bookshop. It's an online independent bookstore where you can find and order the books that were written, recommended, and discussed by guests of the Main Thing podcast. Just check the show notes for a link that'll take you to bookshop.org/shop/themainthing. Buy some books, support independent local booksellers, and support the guests of the Main Thing podcast. Steffanie, that brings us to the point in the show where I'm going to ask you that pivotal question that I ask each and every one of my wise guests. Steffanie Peterson, what's the main thing you've learned in your lifetime so far?
Skip, the main thing I've learned in my lifetime so far is it's never too late. Oh. And I say that with a ... because the answer is endless. Yeah. It's never too late to change jobs. It's never too late to pick up your life and move to a new city. It's never too late to get married or have a child or write a book or whatever. Who sells everything they own and moves to a city 11 hours away and doesn't know a single soul? Like, who does that at 41?
Not many, but a bold, courageous friend of mine did.
Yeah. I mean, if you'd asked me what the main thing was that I've learned 5 years ago, it wouldn't have been the same thing. I don't even know if I could have, I don't even know if I could have told you something pivotal that 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Now I'm adamant that I know what the main thing is. There's no question. No question.
So cool. I mean, it's clarified and crystallized for you.
100%, without a doubt. This has been a roller coaster. Mm-hmm. There have been as many downs as there are ups. Mm-hmm. Hannah Jane is in a difficult business. Hannah Jane is in a business where for every yes, there's 500 no's.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, luckily, luckily we're in a position, I'm in a position today to share this. I wasn't in a position, 3 days ago, but I mean, she was just cast in her first major, like, big deal role. She just was cast in Jersey Boys. So she started rehearsals on Monday.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. So she's super excited. She's playing Frankie Valli's daughter, and it's a part, like, we've waited on this role for 8 years.
Yeah.
So that's a yes, this was the right answer.
For sure. Steffanie, your main thing, it's never too late. I love that. Think through for me. Let's paint a picture together of someone who has not yet realized that wisdom truth.
Yes.
What might their life feel like on the inside?
Oh, gosh.
Maybe they feel useless, hopeless.
Yep. I felt unsettled.
Oh.
I felt...
There we go.
Very disconnected.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see the end. I didn't know where the road went.
Uh-huh.
There wasn't like a path. Like I never really figured out where I fit.
Yeah.
I didn't know where I belonged.
Yeah.
And that's me. That's not even that's not even Hannah Jane. That's just me. And I think that somebody who hasn't taken that leap yet, and they know. I really truly believe. I knew in my heart. I just kind of buried it. I just kept saying, "Go away. I don't want to hear that. Just go somewhere else because I'm not interested in making a life change. That's too much for me. I don't have the courage. I don't have the money. I don't have the connections. I can't do this on my own.
Yeah.
I'm not strong enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm a single mom.
Mm-hmm.
How could I possibly do this alone?"
Mm-hmm.
All of those things went through my head. And I know there are people out there saying all those things and more.
Sure.
You have to trust what's in your voice. There's a little voice in your head that is saying those things to you.
Yeah.
And you have to let that little voice be louder than all those big voices telling you can't. And I know there are people out there feeling those things. I came here for Hannah Jane. Every fiber of my being made this move for that kid.
Yeah.
But what God delivered was dreams for me, 2 big dreams, this book and this career that I didn't ask for, that I didn't expect, that I never saw coming.
Extra favor.
And so extra favor, and I am so grateful for it that I know there are things in front of me that I don't even know are coming. Mm-hmm. And I am uber excited for what he's got planned.
Steffanie, thank you for this wonderful wisdom conversation. By the way, your faith is really showing. And I just really appreciate your time, your boldness, your faith, and your main thing, wisdom. And it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Skip. I appreciate it. It's been awesome. You're amazing.
So long for now.
Take care.
Wow, that goes by incredibly fast, doesn't it? Time flies when you're hacking wisdom. I hope you're left wanting more. Sync up with us again next time on The Main Thing for 9 more minutes of wisdom.